How's everybody doing today?
Good, Coach.
Good. Good. Fantastic. Good to see everybody, even if it's in little squares.
All righty, let's lead it off with Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye School.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Kerry, sounds like you're doing pretty well for spring. I can't imagine you'd be doing any better.
Come on, man. It doesn't get any better than this. But you know what? Before you ask a question, I just want to wish our basketball team good luck today at 3 o'clock. I loved watching them last week in the tournament. I thought the way they played and intensity and they were aggressive. You know, I just really enjoyed watching them play. I think they're going to have a great run. It was really exciting. So good luck to those guys today. Thanks, Tony. Go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, we talked to Ryan on Wednesday, and he mentioned how Lathan Ransom stepped up last year, and it sure seems like he's going to have a big say in what this defense does this year. And I'm just wondering, where is he? Is he your deep safety? Like, what do you envision from him this year?
Yeah, he'll be playing a cover safety role primarily. If we get, you know, the key, Tony, for us is everybody healthy and is everybody ready to go when the foot hits the ball for the first game. So we know that we won't have everybody in the spring, but we're certainly making plans for that. And so right now, Lathan is playing in that cover safety spot, but he will also have some roles in some other areas in the back end.
Now, when you say cover, is that the deep safety or is that the?
No, that would be the guy in the slot.
Okay, that's
where he played last year when he played on third down and those kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. We'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes now on SI.
Hi, Kerry. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Hey, I want to ask you about Zach Harrison because Coach Day had spoken quite a bit about how he was impressed with Zach's emerging leadership. He said that Thayer and Zach probably stood out more than anybody else. He was less surprised by Thayer, but maybe a little bit more surprised by the way that Zach Harrison had really stepped up throughout the last few weeks. Can you give us an idea of your perspective of the way that he's impressed you and maybe what you're expecting from him this spring?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's absolutely the truth. He had a phenomenal 7 weeks in the weight room, not just taking care of his business and his body, but making sure that he's holding others accountable. It's really important, I think, especially for younger players, to see guys who are great athletes that are also great workers. And I think when your best players are your hardest workers, you got a chance to be good. And so we had some of those guys that aren't here anymore that were those type of players. And Zach stepped right in, filled that void, and was very, very impressive with his leadership. And he's excited for the season, and I'm really excited to watch him play.
All righty. We'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
What's up, Bill?
How are you?
How's your ping pong game, Bill?
Haven't played. We haven't talked to you since the Alabama game, and I hate to bring up a bad memory, but how hard? What's that?
I said, then don't.
Well, gotta.
You really hate to, Bill. Don't bring it up. I mean, you get to choose.
Well, I have to ask. What was that like for you in the aftermath of that? And I asked Ryan this question a while ago. You guys have been able to have the success that you've had because you guys are really talented and you have a good scheme. But Alabama and some of that's a great Alabama team. Did it make you reassess anything about your defensive scheme or philosophy because of the way that they were able to attack you? And just, how hard was that whole thing?
Well, it was incredibly painful. I think the thing that I don't know how to say it. The journey that our kids were on to get to that game was phenomenal. We try for people to reflect on that. If you were in this building and you had Thanksgiving dinner in the indoor and you had Christmas Day in the indoor and you showed up every day not sure who was going to be able to practice or coach and everything was being shuffled all the time and games were canceled and all the uncertainty, the season was canceled, then it was on and guys opted out, guys opt back in. Just the entirety of the season. And without going back through that, but being on that journey and being able to get to that last game was truly remarkable. And then I feel very responsible that we didn't play our best in that environment. And you guys, want to make sure I say when we didn't play our best. That's on me. That's my job. And so it was very painful, and it was awful. And that hadn't happened to us very much here. It just doesn't. And you try and work so hard, you pour everything you have into it. The kids poured everything they have into getting to that point. You want to be at your best. And obviously we weren't. And so, that was very hard. Anybody who says it wasn't hard doesn't care. And then, it makes you rethink how you do things. And there's no question that this entire offseason has been a great process of exactly that, rethinking how we do things and how we're going to do things in the future.
Is there anything you can say about how the defense might change as a result?
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I mean, really, why would I? I love you, Bill, but why would I?
All righty. We'll go next to Nathan Barrett from Cleveland.com.
Kerry, what do you need to see out of the young cornerbacks, either the returning freshmen or the new arrivals, that, especially those who are coming back, that you couldn't observe last year or didn't get really a chance to evaluate with them last year? Yeah,
we need to be able to play press man-to-man. We need to be able to do it over and over and over again, and we need to be able to do it successfully. You go back, I watched every period of individual from the entire season last year, and we only got 7 sessions of real one-on-ones in the course of a year. And that's very challenging, right? That in order to be able to do that job, you got to practice it over and over again. So we got that in today, we got started with that. And so that was great. It was awesome. We're going to get so many more opportunities, and the kids that are here and the kids that are coming, that's my expectation. We got to learn it. We got to play it, and we got to be really good at it.
All righty. Let's go next to Austin Ward from Letterman Row. Austin.
Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Austin, how you doing?
Awesome.
Thank you.
When you look back at last year, and you've talked a lot about owning the responsibility and that it wasn't to the standard. When you look back on it, I know there are a ton of factors that went into it, from missing spring, injuries, COVID, the individual periods you just talked about. When you looked at it as a coach, what did you think was the biggest challenge to overcome? What caused this in your mind more than anything else?
Yeah, I would say all of the above. And I also think, Austin, it's important to recognize we won all the games but one, and got farther than we had the year before. We got to the championship game. Now, I'm not saying that we would be – I can tell you this. We get to the championship game again, we'd be really happy. And sometimes in situations you can get too caught up in numbers and those kind of things. The number that matters is victories. And there were a lot of things that, we were third in the country in turnover ratio. There were a lot of things that we did well. We just have to do other things better. And so, I think, I don't know. I think, did you ask me if there's one single thing?
I just maybe if there was one thing in your mind more than others, because I know there are a bunch of factors.
Yeah, to me, I think just more than anything, having a practice with the whole team there is really the biggest thing. And if we can get to that point consistently, I really like this team.
Thanks, Kerry.
All righty. We'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Dan.
Last year, I remember asking you after the shutdown about, installing during the spring, and you said you didn't want to do a lot of that when the players weren't there. How much did that impact what you were able to do schematically last season, and how much does having a full spring allow you to do more this year?
Significantly on both fronts. You can't, I've done this Zoom and I love it. I love the fact that we're able to do it. It was a great answer for the situation, but the reality is that's not real teaching now. That's not, it's very hard to teach in the manner which we do, with direct teaching and back and forth feedback from the players and communication, and to be able to do that in this environment. We all know there's a pause, right? And you guys got a cell phone on your desk and you peek at that, and we shouldn't expect that our players are any different than you guys are. And so for me, being able to look them in the eye and then do it on the field, that's the thing you miss. And I think that those opportunities, in addition to which, having Coach Marotti be able to work with guys in all of this off-season time makes significant difference in their body. So it's not just the scheme, but it's also their conditioning level, their ability to be in shape when we hit the field in the fall. but this opportunity for us to install what we want to install and get practiced at it and find out what we can do and what we can't do in the package is important. It's critical.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Kerry, going back to what you were saying a few questions ago about teaching these young guys to play press man, and you didn't get those opportunities last year. I'm wondering, with this defense in particular, that the base that you all play, just how much more difficult it is when maybe you don't feel as comfortable playing man coverage, and then you have to rely a lot on cover three, and maybe offenses can't anticipate that. How much more difficult does that make your life? And then maybe combined with that, do you guys need to add some more split safety coverages to this package than you had last year?
I think you're perceptive, Bill, and I appreciate that. I think that if we're going to hang our hat, our first pitch, if we're standing on a mound, we're throwing man to man. Now we got to be able to play it, right? That's our fastball. That's what we got to be able to do. And so we've got to be able to play that. And then everything else kind of bleeds off of that. And so how much 3 deep, how much split safety, how much of anything else we play kind of has to bleed off our ability to play man to man. And we have to be able to do that. Or then if we can't, then we have to change what we do. But I think we got the guys that can do it, and I like our chances.
All righty, we got Thayer and Zach ready for you. So this will be the last question for Coach. We'll go to Joey Kaufman from the Dispatch.
Hey, Kerry, just wanted to ask about the safety spot, especially with Marcus Hooker being out to start camp. How do you, I guess, see that free safety spot?
Josh Proctor lined up there today. He played extremely well and is going to play really well. And Bryson Shaw stepped right in behind him. And we have a young freshman that played there, a kid who's a high school senior. Jansen Dunn stepped in there today. We're going to be versatile. We're going to have some guys that are going to be able to do more than one job in the back end. We're going to have to. That's one thing COVID taught you, right? You got to have guys that can do it. Well, same thing's true if injuries or anything else arise. So, but Proc went out there and played it, and he played it well today. So I was excited about that.
All righty, Coach. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Tim, I see you.
All right, we'll bring up Thayer Munford here first,
What's up,
and
Thayer?
Zach, followed by Zach Ayers. All righty, Thayer, looking good. We'll get it started here. Let's start with Jared Smalley. Jared, lead us off.
Hi, Thayer. Wanted to ask you a very basic question. Why are you back? What do you want to accomplish?
I love this question. The reason why I came back is because I gotta get my academics together, and I'm like one semester away until I actually graduate. And another part of me coming back is my mom too, because she also wants me to get my degree. I'm not just the only one who wants my degree. My mom also wants me to get my degree, so I can be the first person in my family to actually, graduate college. Because that's a big part for me. Is like, yeah, football is good and all. But at the same time, my academics is a little bit more important for me, because I'm the first generation to actually go to college at a big major school.
All righty, let's go next to Tim A from Letterman Row. Tim.
Yeah, I thought maybe I was on another teleconference. Sorry about that. Thayer, when you guys took the field today, ran on the field, who was your quarterback? And number two, how good do you feel about this line that could feature like Paris Johnson at guard and right on down the line? How do you think this line's going to shape up?
Oh, to be honest, I block for whoever. It doesn't matter who's back there at all. We got 3 amazing quarterbacks that's fighting for the spot, competing for the spot. CJ Stroud, Jack, and Kyle, and they doing great. And for his offensive line, I feel like we're gonna have a great offensive line. Like we're gonna have some young guys that have to step up and have to come in, of course, yes. But also at the same time though, they are older and they're a little bit more mature than underclassmen in the past. So I'm really excited to actually see how the young guys want to come up.
Thanks, man.
All righty, let's go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, there. Can you just kind of give your impressions of the quarterbacks? What struck you about them in the short time you've been with them this offseason?
You know, what stood out with me about them is that they love the work. You know, I see them out like after every workout, just throwing balls to the wide receivers. You know, they try and get better. They want the spot. They want to compete for the spot. And when we see that, like for us offensive linemen, like we are more comfortable actually blocking. And when the receivers see them throwing the ball, asking them to actually like, oh, can we throw? Like, let's do some top ends or something like that. You know, that they makes everybody else feel a lot better, like for the team. You know, because what are we without the quarterback? You know.
Thank you.
All righty. Next, we'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Thayer, obviously you've played a lot of football at Ohio State, but coming back for this additional year, in what areas do you think that you can continue to improve your game?
Everything. It's not just one thing. It's everything that I need to work on. You know, I got to improve from last season. Of course, last season was kind of like messed up in a way because of COVID, of course. But also at the same time, though, like I'm not the person to actually like be like, oh, I'm complacent where I'm at. That's not me. That's nobody on this team. Like everybody wants to get better, you know. And I just don't see myself at that level yet. You know, I still want to strive. I push myself mentally so I can actually make sure I block my guy right, go and get Zach Harrison, Tyree Smith, anybody that's I line up across this spring. Like I'm making sure I get better off of them. Because to be honest, in my mind, they the most talented defensive lineman that Ohio State has, in my mind.
All righty. Let's go next to Austin Ward from Letterman Row. Austin.
There, didn't you accept an invitation to the Senior Bowl?
Yes, I did accept the invitation, but I really didn't feel like comfortable yet for me leaving because I knew I need to get my degree before I had to move on because that's what I promised my mom and anybody that was around me throughout my whole senior year of high school. So that like pushed me to actually stay here and work on my craft for the NFL for next year.
Yeah, so that led to me to think, well, when did you make this decision? Because at some point, it seemed like you must have at least been preparing to leave. And then when you maybe told Coach Stud or Coach Day that you were coming back, were they surprised? What was the reaction?
To be honest, they wasn't as surprised, but also at the same time, though, like I had to make the grown decision to come back to finish out my academics. You know, we all talk about it before. Like my academics is a lot more important than football because, like I said before, in the first question, I'm the first generation in my family just to graduate college or go to college for real, and I'm honored to actually be that first generation, so I can tell it to my kids and my grandkids, so they can tell it to their kids. So I'm grateful to be in this position that I am right now.
Thanks, man.
All righty. Next up, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Following up kind of on that same theory or that same question of, talking to people on the team about this, did you feel you owed Paris Johnson any explanation? Because he's a guy who came here expecting to be the left tackle for this season because you were going to be a senior who was graduating. So did you feel you owed him any explanation, and just what was his reaction to you coming back?
Well, me and Paris and Dewan are like really close. You know, we talk outside of football, and I was in a spot of like staying and leaving. I was again having like mixed emotions, but I was telling him like before I actually made the decision I should come back that I'm gonna be coming back and we're gonna be working like no matter what. Like I could be on the sideline, we can still be working. You know, we're gonna make sure we do the corrections right. So.
All righty, got time for a couple more. We'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Hey, there, Matt Jones proved to be a versatile and valuable member of the program last year. Where did he line up for you guys today, and what do you see from him so far this offseason?
Right now, Matt Jones has something going on in his personal life, and I don't feel like going on with that because that's his personal stuff. And I'm sorry for not asking the question correctly. I'm sorry, but that's his personal. I don't feel comfortable actually telling his business without him.
I was asking a football question. Wasn't even aware. Sorry about that.
No, you good. I'm sorry.
Nick Petit Freyr, let's move to him. Had a tremendous year last year. What is next for him, do you think?
To be honest, it's the same thing that we all work on. It's just get better, be better than we was last year. Last year we had a duo from PFF, and we was actually pretty good. And also we looked at the film. It's like certain things we need to correct on, and we all, like me and him both know, and Coach Stud knows like what we need to correct on as well. And we push ourselves, and we're gonna push the underclassmen like under us to actually like go harder, do the technique right, do the fundamentals right, Let's be confident in yourself. Don't be so like uptight and like just be confident and be loose and just go on the field and have fun.
All righty, and last question for Thayer, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Hey Thayer, you've made it pretty clear that academics and getting a degree are pretty important to you. Whenever football is over for you, whether that's coming up shortly or many years from now, what do you want to do what are some of the thoughts you've had around building a career away from football?
I really want to like go into like athletic director / football coach. The reason why is because I see like I had Nate Moore, for instance, like coaches at Madison right now, and he brought me in and just took me in under his wing, and I looked at that and I was like, okay, I really want to do this because there's more people like myself and in worse situations that I was in, and I want to help them out so they won't be a statistic in like society, and that's my main goal for everybody. I don't want to just work with UNC kids. I just want to work with people that actually want to actually go to college and better themselves. I'm not just picking and choosing whoever. It's just if the kid wants to come to me to actually go to college or be better at football, I want to help them out as best I can.
And if I can follow up on that real quick, just can you give us an idea at how, whether you've had conversations with Gene Smith or with your coaches, what kinds of things have they done to try to help you prepare for that kind of career?
So it was like a lot, like not last year, but like 2 years ago. Me and Coach Tucker, we had like set up like something in some high school, so I can actually like follow them around, see what they do as far as like athletic directors, and see what do they actually do. And it was a great experience for me. And I also want to like coach, but I haven't got to that point yet because I've been busy with academics and making sure I'm on track for academics as well.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Mike, Thayer, could I have one quickie? When are you scheduled to graduate, or what schedule are you on to graduate?
I'm on track to graduate in August.
I got you. All right, man. Thanks.
No problem.
All righty, thank you, Thayer. Really appreciate your time today.
Appreciate y'all.
We'll bring in Zach Harrison. It'll be our final interviewer of the day. Interviewee. All righty, Zach, thank you very much. We'll lead this one off with Austin Ward from Letterman Row.
Zach, there's so many people praising you for the way that you've attacked this offseason and maybe changed. Do you feel different heading into year 3? What does it mean when the way people are talking about you becoming a leader right now?
I just made the decision at the end of last season, going into this offseason. I was like, I'm just going to give everything I got to this program. I'm going to give everything I got to every workout, every sprint, every drill, every rep. And I think the coaches are seeing the results of that, just the mindset change that I had going into this season.
All righty, let's go next to Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row. Spencer.
Zach, what's it like for you to take on more of a leadership role? You've seen a couple guys on the defensive side and on the defensive line take that before. What did you learn from those guys, and what's been your experience so far as one of the leaders of the defense?
That's the thing for me. I'm not trying to be a leader. I'm just being myself. I feel like I've built a bond with the guys, and they trust me, and I trust them, and they know that Zach's going to do the right thing. So when I tell them or when I ask them, tighten up, you got to do this, that, and third, then they listen. They have that trust in me, and it goes both ways. They know that if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, they can tell me, Zach, you got to tighten up, you got to run the ball or whatever the issue is. And that's how I feel like the best leadership and that's my way of leadership is the give and go and the bond. That's how I built up my voice for my teammates.
All righty, next up, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Zach, when you look back on last season, I guess how do you assess your performance? How did you kind of like look back on year two here?
Year two, to be honest, I didn't have quite the year that I wanted to. Year two, and that's why I changed my mindset. That's why I changed my approach going into this offseason, and hopefully this fall, y'all can see the results of the hard work.
All right, we'll go next to Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Zach, there was sort of this ongoing debate or conversation last season between the idea of the defensive front creating pressure and then actually getting home for sacks. How would you evaluate your own performance there? And is it something you feel like needs to convert from one to the other?
Yeah, it's definitely something we talked about, all the D linemen. We're getting there, but we got to get home. And that's something that we focused on going into the spring. The first practice was today. And we're going to get on the film on Monday, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to assess it, and we're going to talk about, okay, these are the things that we need to do to get that extra half a yard or that extra 3 feet or that extra inch to get to the quarterback. And that's something that we've focused on heavily going into this offseason and spring ball and eventually camp in the season.
All righty, next up, Jared Smalley, WCMH.
Well, Zach, you're sounding awfully motivated, and clearly you've impressed your coaches with that. But I wanted to ask specifically why. You were talking about your performance from last year. Is it simply a consistency standpoint, or what's maybe the thing that you feel like you need to take that next step for?
Yeah, it's probably consistency. I still have flashes of my potential, and I got to try to get to where I can get that every single play on a consistent basis, in and out, every down, every game, where there's no fall off.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Zach. You just mentioned potential. That's a word that's obviously followed you around since high school, especially being a local guy. How much pressure have you felt to live up to that, to be the next Bosa, the next Chase Young? I mean, obviously it's hard to compare yourself to other people, and that's not fair. But do you feel like you're ready to take that jump and be the next dominant Ohio State defensive end? I
feel like I can. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready to do that. Like I said, I've been giving my all to this year and this training, and I've seen changes in my body, and I've seen changes in the way I feel and the way I'm moving. So I feel like I'm excited for this next step to be, to really make my own legacy here, not try to follow anybody's footsteps. I'm trying to be myself to where people know Zach Harrison. That's the name that they know.
And can you say how your body's changed? Have you put on weight? Anything with your body?
The biggest thing for me is really flexibility. I've been stretching more in the training room and trying to get, my hips and everything where I can bend the edge and feel more fluid in my movements.
All right, thank you.
All righty, next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Hey, Zach, you had a front row seat a couple years ago to see what Chase Young did in his third year at Ohio State. What are the things you feel like you can take from watching him and maybe apply to your own, third year jump at Ohio State?
Practice habits. That's one thing I focused on when I was freshman watching Chase. He made plays in practice that y'all never saw. And that correlates to games, and that's one thing that I took to heart. You got to show it in practice, because it's not just going to show up on Saturdays.
All righty, let's go next to Tim May from Letterman Row.
Yeah, Zach, if we don't get to watch practice, obviously, but if we'd watched you today, for example, what would we have seen that's different about you compared to even the end of last year? You're talking about this new dedication, et cetera, but more savage. How would you describe your approach?
I'm just trying to play fast all the time. There's a little cart. I'm just trying to play fast every play, get my play speed up, and like I said previously, I just trying to make more plays in practice, have my production points go up as we're graded out after practice.
Thanks, man.
All righty, let's go next to Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Zach. You talked about that you just didn't quite have the year last year that you wanted to. You obviously still had a good year, but especially early in the year, were you playing as much as you wanted to? I know you guys always rotate defensive ends, but how did you feel about sort of your role in that rotation at different parts of the year?
I mean, I trust Coach Jay and I trust the rotation, and that's worked, and that's what's best. I feel like for our D line, keep us fresh, like we always talk about, keep us fresh, keep us fast, and that's one thing I got 100% faith in all the coaches and what their decisions is what I believe in.
And just real quick, we know the legacy of defensive ends here at Ohio State, from the Bosa brothers to Chase and everybody else. For a guy like you who is such a big recruit, is it fair? Is it to like talk about that in regards to you? Does it add any pressure? Is it unfair? Do you welcome that? Like, what's it like when your position has such a legacy at Ohio State?
I mean, we don't really talk about it in-house. I mean, most of that comes from outside, and so I don't really think about it often, and I'm not trying to follow anyone's footsteps. Like I said, I'm trying to be myself. I'm trying to build my own name and build my own image here at Ohio State. You know, leave my own legacy at Ohio State. So that's one thing that doesn't really enter my mind a lot. Just the following the footsteps. That's not something that I think about often. I'm trying to build my own self. You know, start my own path.
Thank you, Zach.
All righty, next up, Clay Hall, WSYS.
Hey, Zach, good to see you. Who replaces Tommy Togiai, and what did you take from his his rapid rise, playing so well in the postseason and now to be a draft eligible player?
Yeah, that's one of the things that helped me change my mindset. I saw Tommy do that last year. You know, coming back from my sophomore, his junior year, he had goals and he wanted to reach them. And you should see him every workout. He went hard on the sprints, every practice. He was giving 100%, and that's something that I took from Tommy, and that's something that I tried to incorporate.
Yeah, who fills that spot, sir?
We got a lot of guys. We got Antoine that knows. Teron plays nose. We got a couple of freshmen, Tyleek, who looks really good, really promising guy. Really, we got most of the inside guys are back, so
yeah,
a lot of guys have the opportunity to step up into that role that Tommy filled.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Zach, it sounds like you certainly made a conscious effort to, try to take that step forward. I'm curious if you're like actively thinking about the idea that, people often say you don't grow unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Are you trying to put yourself in spots, whether it's in the weight room, in the meeting room, on the practice field, things that maybe you haven't done before that feel a little off, a little different, a little uncomfortable? Are you actively trying to do those kinds of things to grow?
Yeah, I am. It's like you said, you can't grow unless you're uncomfortable. You don't grow in your comfort zone. And that's one thing that I try to put myself out of my comfort zone, whether it's the lift, going harder on doing 2 more reps when my arms are tired, or let's say it's a pass rush rep and I'm gassed. It's the last play to rack, trying to get off as fast as I was the first play, running to the ball just like I was the first play. So just building up my stamina and my endurance. And like you said, putting myself in uncomfortable situations. So when game time rolls around and it's fourth quarter and I got nothing left, I've been there before. I've done that. So I know what it feels like.
All right, we'll do 2 real quick ones to finish up here. We'll go to Dan Hope and then Austin Ward. Dan.
Hey, Zach, Jack Sawyer's another local guy coming in as a freshman. Just wondering, what have you seen from him in winter workouts and then going into his first practice?
Jack's a worker. He's one of those guys who's going to give everything he's got all the time. And Jack's got a lot of skill. Jack's quick. Jack's fluid. So I feel like Jack's going to be a good player here at Ohio State.
All righty, and then last question to Austin Ward.
Zach, we know that Coach Coombs is always intense, but when he was talking with us, he put all the responsibility on himself, maybe for what happened in the title game or any of the weeks the defense maybe didn't play up to its potential. What's he been like to be around? I know it's still pretty early in spring camp, but is there a different level of intensity for him right now?
It's the same energy as Coach Coombs. There's always 100%. He gives 100% of him all the time, and we feed off that. We need a guy like that who's going to bring juice to the defense and get us pumped up and get us going. And a guy that we can put all of our trust in, because I 100% trust in Coach Coombs. So